Wait, wasn't this all around the time when Aaliyah died?
Yeah.
And Beyonce's solo career was struggling? Damn on your boy now, that's some bullshit ass record. From the Austin Powers shit, it was some of the worst shit out. They were having a hard time taking her solo. And then Aaliyah died.
Nicki Minaj just struck another match and threw it straight into the center of the culture. And this time, the smoke is floating dangerously close to Beyoncé's throne. Over the last few weeks, she's been in full exposé mode online, typing rapidly, dropping heavy hints, and calling out what she labels industry secrets. At first, it was subtle whispers about alleged hidden sons tied to Jay-Z and slick jabs about baby oil at Diddy parties. But now, she's aiming higher. Now she's seemingly putting Beyoncé herself on notice. In her newest posts and voice recordings, Nicki didn't flat out accuse Queen Bee of anything specific, but she strongly implied that receipts are out there, connecting powerful figures to the same shadowy circles she claims she's exposing. And the moment she mentioned Aaliyah, the timeline froze. Because Aaliyah isn't just any name. She's protected, she's cherished, she's remembered as R&B royalty taken too soon. So when Nicki even hinted at a link between Beyoncé and supposed evidence involving Aaliyah, the internet detonated. Let's be clear, there is zero verified proof connecting Beyoncé to any wrongdoing involving Aaliyah. What we're discussing here is social media implication, coded messaging, and fans playing detective trying to interpret what Nicki might be suggesting.
And he was working with R. Kelly, and they were making so many records together. You know, they made all of those records together. They both Aaliyah. They shared so much in common.
But in today's climate, implication alone can shake the entire room. Nicki Minaj reportedly said people need to stop pretending they don't know what really happened back then. She referenced old footage and hinted at industry protection. She didn't spell out Beyoncé's name in every line, but the context had fans connecting dots fast. Screenshots began flying across timelines. Vintage interviews resurfaced. Clips of Beyoncé and Aaliyah from the late 90s were reposted like they were secret codes in a conspiracy doc. The Beehive snapped straight into defense mode, labeling the insinuations reckless and out of line. Meanwhile, Nicki's supporters claimed she was just asking questions and pushing for transparency. That's how these online battles unfold now. Nobody waits for verification. Everyone chooses a side. What makes this even heavier is the backstory. Beyoncé and Aaliyah were rising in the same era. Destiny's Child was ascending. Aaliyah was already cemented as a star. The business was competitive, sure, but confirmed public beef between them never existed. After Aaliyah's tragic death in 2001, Beyoncé spoke respectfully about her in interviews over the years. There's never been solid proof of tension. So when Nicki floats the idea of hidden evidence, it disrupts a narrative people thought was settled. Suddenly, folks start questioning whether she's hinting at deeper industry politics and suppressed truths. Again, there is absolutely no verified proof supporting that, but speculation outruns facts every time. Nicki's recent approach feels calculated. She drops partial statements. She says, "I won't say too much," then she says just enough to ignite the blogs. It builds suspense, it fuels chaos, and it keeps her trending. Some critics argue it's a distraction from other issues. Others believe she genuinely thinks she's exposing something bigger than music. Either way, the second Beyoncé's name enters the conversation, the temperature spikes instantly. Beyoncé almost never responds to internet noise. She rarely dignifies rumors. That silence is part of her mystique, but it also leaves a vacuum where narratives can spiral. Bringing up Aaliyah makes this even more sensitive. Fans feel protective because Aaliyah isn't here to speak for herself. Her legacy is guarded fiercely by loved ones and loyal supporters, so attaching her name to vague implications feels like dangerous territory.
Some people online said Nicki Minaj went too far. Others insisted she was pulling back the curtain on industry conversations that have been whispered about for years. You see how quickly this spirals. And while there is still absolutely no verified confirmation of wrongdoing from Beyoncé or anyone else mentioned, the rumor machine keeps turning because controversy sells. At its core, this proves how potent suggestion really is. Nicki didn't drop the paperwork, she didn't release footage. All she had to do was imply that receipts exist, and suddenly, millions turned into investigators. Old clips get reanalyzed, lyrics get decoded, and body language from award shows 2 decades ago starts looking suspicious. That's the era we're living in. The more Nicki teases, the more people lean forward, waiting for either undeniable proof or a sudden pivot.
For now, Beyoncé stays silent. No statement, no post, no response. And maybe that's calculated, because sometimes replying only magnifies speculation. But Nicki's warning already accomplished something. It sparked debate, fractured fan bases, and placed one of music's biggest icons under a microscope. Whether this escalates into something tangible or fades as another trending storm depends on what happens next. But one thing's undeniable. When Nicki pressed send, the culture rattled, and this time she aimed at the crown. Now hold up, this is where it gets deeper. Because this isn't just random tweets flying around. This is about influence, legacy, and who truly steers the narrative in the industry. When Nicki hinted that evidence ties Beyoncé to the same murky spaces she's been referencing for months, she wasn't just stirring drama. She was challenging the idea that certain figures are beyond questioning. Beyoncé's brand feels regal. She moves with precision. She rarely addresses rumors. She delivers polished visuals, controlled interviews, and carefully timed statements. So when Nicki steps in, loud, unpredictable, and direct, the contrast is sharp. Chaos versus calculation. Nicki supporters argue she's calling out secrets insiders have whispered about for years but feared saying publicly. They claim she's been warning about elite circles, hidden alliances, and systems that shield powerful names. Again, there is no verified evidence backing those claims, but in the digital age, perception can rival proof. When Nicki reportedly said people should ask why certain stories never surface, fans instantly linked that to Aaliyah's legacy. They began revisiting old interviews, red carpet moments, even casting rumors from early 2000s films. Social media turned into a courtroom. What makes this volatile is the emotional weight attached to Aaliyah's name. She passed away tragically young, and her public image has remained largely untouched by scandal. Her legacy feels gentle, respected, guarded, so when Nicki connects her name to ideas about hidden evidence and protection, discomfort rises. Some fans say even implying that crosses a boundary. Others argue that if deeper truths exist, they deserve daylight. The audience splits clean down the middle. Then there's Beyoncé's silence. To some, that silence is powerful. Supporters say she doesn't engage because she doesn't have to. She's built a career letting the work speak. Critics, though, suggest silence can also be strategic. They wonder if not responding allows speculation to float without confrontation. But let's be honest, if Beyoncé directly addressed online rumors, it would be seismic. It could legitimize claims in ways ignoring them never would. From a branding perspective, quiet might be the strongest chess move. Meanwhile, Nicki sustains the suspense. She drops another cryptic line. She hints there's more coming. She references archives. She talks about things people assumed were buried. Each post deepens the mystery, yet she still hasn't presented concrete, publicly verified proof. That's the central issue. Without solid evidence, everything remains suggestion, and suggestion can either build momentum or collapse entirely. There's also the long-running narrative about powerful women being framed as rivals. The media thrives on that storyline. Whenever two major female artists share a headline, it becomes a throne war. But this feels different because it's not about sales or trophies. It's about alleged hidden history. It's about knowledge and timing. It's about whether the public ever saw the full picture. That's a serious implication. Some insiders reportedly dismiss it as digital noise. They argue that without official documentation or statements, it will fade like many online storms. Others believe Nicki could be building towards something larger, maybe a detailed reveal. Until then, it's speculation. Beyoncé has not been formally accused of any verified wrongdoing connected to Aaliyah. That point matters. Still, the cultural ripple effect is undeniable. Fan bases are clashing nonstop. Comment sections are overflowing. Old alliances are being questioned. Even casual listeners are tuning in because controversy pulls attention like gravity. Nicki understands that. She knows how narrative works. Whether she's exposing truth or amplifying long-circulating rumors, she currently controls the spotlight. At the end of it all, this moment highlights how delicate public images are in the internet age. One vague message can shift perception overnight. One mention of a beloved figure can reopen decades-old conversations. One bold warning can send shockwaves through an industry built on image and silence. Whether Nicki produces hard evidence or lets this linger, she's already accomplished something significant. She made people revisit a story they believed was settled. And in today's culture, that alone carries power.